In this conversation, my friend Ilya and I are going to talk about why is outbound failing so many agencies right now, even with all the AI that's out there.
You're just scaling a failure because you don't know whether that thing is doing a good or a bad job.
And what matters more right now in outreach? Is it personalization or just hitting the right person at the right time with the right message?
If it was not relevant in the first place, then all the personalization in the world will not help you to move that needle on that deal.
And with so many agencies out there competing for attention, wouldn't you want to know what the best ones are doing differently to actually make a difference?
The most successful ones are great sellers. They know how to position themselves. They've picked on a niche, meaning they've narrowed down to actually focus on that niche, and they expand over time.
So let's get into it. All right, Ilya, how are you doing today?
Tony, I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast, and excited to be here.
So you and your team at HeyReach.io is you guys focus a lot on helping agencies and businesses with outreach.
Yes.
And before we get started, because I want to talk about some things around AI and what's going on in the agency space. You've got a unique perspective on that, and so maybe just tell everybody a little bit about kind of yourself and why I think you have that unique perspective and the agencies you work with.
Okay, let's get going then. Again, thank you for inviting me. For anyone listening, my name is Ilya. Don't even try to pronounce my last name. Your desk might start floating. The reason why I'm here today is because I'm running all revenue operations inside of HeyReach. And if you have not heard about HeyReach, well, we are basically a trending LinkedIn automation tool for modern day outbound, primarily focused on agencies. So I've been in this role for the past 3.5 years. And I mean, from the very beginning, from day zero of HeyReach, if you will. So throughout this period of time, we've started like any other startup when you think that your product is a solution for everyone out there, but the truth is it's not. It's probably going to be for some. But long story short, we've decided to narrow it down and focus predominantly for agencies as being the first, let's say, because let's be honest, there are 2,500 automation LinkedIn tools out there, but we were in kind of the first tool that we focused like we're going to serve this ICP, which is agencies doing modern day outbound for themselves and for their clients, obviously. It gives me a unique perspective because, I'm running revenue for an outbound tool itself, so I'm closely attached to, pretty much everything going on in regards to obviously AI, orchestration of outbound, and even attribution. And at the same time, I am pretty much like the customer for any agency out there selling revenue orchestration and operations services or products. So now I have like the end-to-end overview of where this whole thing is essentially going.
So you guys you serve hundreds. I think you said you're almost at 1,000 agencies you guys serve. Give us a breakdown of where everybody's at, where your customers are at.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, like we are pacing at 5,500 customers currently at 13 million ARR in total revenue. The core, or basically the core users, which are the agencies, are roughly 1,000, give or take, and growing day over day. Predominantly, they are based in the US and Canada. So we are looking at 50% of them being over there. 30% are on Western Europe. So I'm talking about Germany, France, UK, so on. And the rest of them are basically all over the world. For us specifically, there was no geographical targeting in terms of like who do we want to work with. So that's why we've tried to build out a global brand for this specific ICP, really.
Right. And what you've been around since the beginning of the company, right?
Yes. Yes.
What originally prompted you to build a tool for is it just LinkedIn for outreach on LinkedIn, or is it other tools that you got, you have to think about integration, right?
Mm-hmm.
What prompted, hey, I got an idea,
Yeah.
how did you go from there to where you are? And so tell a little bit of that story, but also what you guys have learned about agencies over the years in working with them.
That's a great question. So let me walk you through a little bit of history over here. We launched, we thought we had a solution. Then the reason was why agencies, right? First, like there was a competitive advantage compared to anyone else. And second is like the thought process behind like what we are trying to do. So here's the thing. Over time, we've learned that for, let's say we have a sales team and an agency that needs to purchase a subscription for us. So on the same offer, they will vision this like differently. So for a sales team, we are essentially an investment, something that they have to put money on and get a desired output, demo meetings, pipeline, whatever it is. And they may or may not use the tool over a period of time. So they may churn after 3 months because we are a campaign tool for them, or they may stick around for longer. But essentially, it's not going to be something that's close to the agencies, because for the agencies, we are essentially an operational tool, meaning like they have to pretty much pay us to maintain a specific service that they are offering. So that goes in line with the outbound services these days. Now, at the same time, like we've discovered that if you are an operational cost for someone, then what's the best thing when it comes to costs? Well, it has to be fixed, like a flat fee, if you will. So opposed to any other competitor, we started offering a flat fee for the agencies for a bundle of seats that you can use. So you can onboard clients, and every next client will essentially be for free because you're already paying for that. So that's why we've created a, let's call it a irresistible offer that attracted predominantly the agencies that, well, started saying, well, opposed to me paying for every additional seat for every next client that I will just get a Heritage subscription, and I have enough space to actually grow efficiently without increasing my costs. So that was number one. Over time, we started realizing that as the modern day outbound is actually evolving, there will never be an environment where you have it all in one tool, like where you will have the data stored, plus the personalization, plus the AI, plus the enrichment, and then have an execution at the same time. Anyone who tried to do that like failed on specific segments, not to the whole thing. So let's take Apollo, for instance. They've tried to build a all-in-one thing, but again, the users are actually using them for the data subset, right?
Right.
Or
Data enrichment.
data enrichment, not even enrichment, I'd say just proper filtering to get all the CEOs at a fast-growing startup. Like that's pretty much
Got
it.
it. Like
But
a
you don't
list. So, hey, I need a list. Let's use Apollo to get a
to get,
list.
to get a list, right? So, but they are not really making a dollar on the sequencers, meaning on the email sending capabilities or the LinkedIn syncing capabilities. They don't have it now. They used to have that into the past. So what got us thinking is really like we cannot really be great at all. Like what we should do is predominantly focus on what we do best, which is the LinkedIn part. Keep the account safe, don't overcharge on the seats, and actually just give them an environment for people to connect this thing to the other things, meaning to create
Right.
an educational environment. So we've tried to, and essentially we've placed a bet, and that bet actually turned off. It's because like the SaaS, it's turning into from a singular to a modular type of environment where you will use specialized tools to execute upon a bunch of services, and then you have to make an environment for all of these tools to communicate between themselves. So you will create that in efficiency module where you're servicing clients on a few clicks of a button. So over time, we've essentially realized that agencies will not change their stack. Like if they were using Apollo, then they will still continue using Apollo. They will not shift to Sales Navigator to pull data and work with that data. Or if they were using Clay. So if they are using Clay, then still, like, you get my point. So basically, they will stick to that.
Yeah.
And the more you try to sell something as an improvement to an existing system or a replacement to an existing system, more objections you will have. But opposed to that, it's like, Well, listen, keep everything as you have, like you don't change a thing, just do better for what you've paid for. So if you got Apollo data and you have bounced emails, but you have LinkedIn URLs, why not use them on a LinkedIn sequence? You see my point? So now
Yeah.
we've positioned ourselves like, okay, integrate this into your whole stack. And this is where people essentially saw the value instead of like, oh, we need this. Like, we just have to make it happen and make it work. So
And,
yeah. Yeah. Go on.
and for agencies that don't know, Hey Reach, or even haven't leveraged LinkedIn to do outreach for themselves, or even sell the idea to their clients that, hey, we can build out an entire campaign of let's get you lists, let's enrich those lists, let's go out on LinkedIn, find you the right the right prospects, and do some outreach on LinkedIn to supplement maybe other campaigns that you're running. And what you're saying is, HeyReach specializes in that campaign, running that campaign on LinkedIn, but because it integrates well with other systems that get lists, do enrichment on lists, CRMs. I'll let you talk about some things that you have coming up. What you guys are getting really good at is how do we get efficient with the LinkedIn platform in terms of running outreach campaign, and then when people follow you back or like what you have or respond to your outreach campaigns, you can now run workflows behind that supplement that for a sales team.
Yes, and Tony, like I've seen this happening all over the internet. Basically, everyone is saying that it should be overcomplicated, but it's not. But for everyone just starting off or just looking to fix a broken process, it's not that complicated. I mean, especially if you're servicing clients on the outbound side of things. So let me break it down. For every outbound, like what are the baselines? You need data, you need execution, and you need reporting. That's pretty much it. Those are the three components. So on the data side of things, well, you need like obviously you need a valuable source. So for some clients, essentially that will be just Apollo will do just fine. For other clients, it will be Sales Navigator, and for third client, it will be Google Maps. Essentially, like once you get the data, then obviously you have to think about two components. Component number one is relevancy, and component number two is personalization, right? So relevancy is something that goes in lines of, is my outreach going to be timely? Meaning every company, it's like they can have the same signal, basically, that they're in a specific state, but you don't really know until they respond to that outbound sequencing, whether it's for yourself, for your clients, for whatever it is. It doesn't really mean that your offer sucks. It basically means the timing was not right. Let me give you an example. So everyone these days is talking about signals that you should find that people who are actually hiring up, like if you're targeting sales leaders and they're hiring for SDR, then this is the
You're
best
talking
time.
about signals on LinkedIn, right?
Well, not just LinkedIn, like all over the web. Signals can be found pretty much anywhere, right? But
Got it.
LinkedIn are the ones related to LinkedIn are going to be the one who are posting or posting about specific topic or following specific people. So um, the most important thing is to find like what's the relevant moment to reach out to a specific account, meaning to a specific company. And to do that, you have to look a little bit or to think a little bit outside of the box. So what everyone else is doing is like whoever has a job title on LinkedIn or Indeed or whatever platform is there, everyone will jump into it and basically say, oh, you're hiring, that means you're growing, that means that you have problems, that means you need my solution. Not true.
Right.
What if that company was decreasing on the sales department for the past 6 months and now they hired a new person? Now you're thinking, well, either this company is a mess and the last thing that they need is to make a decision on a purchase for a product or a service. Right? Again, it's the same company who was actually hiring. So relevancy is something that you can either try to orchestrate or overthink or just overkill. And the truth is you will only know if you are relevant with the offer at the right time if you send them a message, email or LinkedIn, and basically get a response. That's the best validator. The second part is the personalization. So yes, AI actually enabled all of us to pull data, do enrichment, build out that perfect copy with the bridge, with the CTA, with so on and so forth. But the truth is, if it was not relevant in the first place, then all the personalization in the world will not help you to move that needle on that deal. So
Right.
my whole thought process is like figure out the relevancy first, then focus on the personalization. But even if you hit a relevant audience with a generic message, then it will outperform any personalized message to a non-relevant audience. And
Interesting.
once you have the data all built out, then the next question is like, how am I going to execute upon this data? And let's be honest, like every data source, every data tool in the world needs a great execution tool to make it be successful. And every
Yeah.
execution tool in the world needs a great data source tool to make it successful as well. So these things are dependent. Like
Hmm.
Carriage cannot be dependent, cannot be successful if the customers are not successful, and the customers cannot be successful unless they find nice data to work with the tool, right? So long story short, on the channels, you basically have three options, right? Either it's going to be cold calling, cold emailing, or social selling, meaning LinkedIn, right?
Hmm.
Cold calling obviously requires certain skill set and certain, obviously, like anything requires to have to be knowledgeable about things and to have a history in order to be successful. So everyone can
Yeah.
get there over time. But again, it has its own pros and cons, right? Either way, cold calling is there. Email has been troublish for a lot of people because it's declining, and we've ended up in that scenario just because like every email sending is so accessible now to everyone. You have SmartLead, you have Instantly, you have Email Bison, you have all of these tools for email sending, which
Right.
created in a way a inbox saturation inside of the recipient's inboxes. So what that means, you're there thinking, well, I did great on relevancy and data, but no responses. But the truth is, like that person actually has 500, 100 emails. Why would they read their email? So
Yeah.
now,
Because we're all getting bombarded with these emails. And
exactly,
even now, you can kind of see when AI has got a hold of you, it recognizes you. It'll pull some data from different spots and
yes,
email you. And that's what you mean by relevance. Well, it grabs some relevance because it can grab it online and scrape that into its process.
exactly.
But if the timing is, it could be completely relevant to me, but if the timing is off,
Yeah.
then it's kind of like, oh, well, that's interesting, but I'm not working on that right now.
Yes, exactly. So last but not least, if email is declining and cold calling requires actually a subset of skills that you need to have to be successful, then what does LinkedIn require? LinkedIn only requires you being a friend with everyone. That's all there is because LinkedIn is not a communication channel. It's a social platform that actually enables people to connect with each other, talk with each other, and basically have a chat. And that's pretty much it. So you cannot really treat LinkedIn as a typical communication channel. That's why you cannot really send your calendar link inside of your first message or ask what's the weather like in whatever in Houston, just because
Mhm.
like we are in there for a chat on a specific topic. So if we are happening to be able to do that, then you have to tweak your messaging to be like related to that. So for instance, my message for you, Tony, would be, hey, Tony, I saw that you are running this amazing podcast. I'm pretty sure you have problem with expanding on the audience side of things. We have a LinkedIn solution that enables you to find all agency owners and send them a quick LinkedIn DM to check and visit your website or your podcast, right? Is this something
Yeah.
that you are facing as an issue right now? So you see my point? It's like conversational. It
Hmm.
can push you to say, no, I don't have that problem. Or either it can push you to, well, I've been considering, but I'm lacking X, Y, and Z to in order to proceed. Or I might get lucky and say, and Tony will say, send me the payment link. This is exactly what I was looking for. So again, but it will never be Tony being offended just because I popped a question inside of your LinkedIn inbox. Like that's the
Right.
end goal. Because people tend to forget that even if you get an acceptance on a connection request and you get a no, but you're still connected on LinkedIn. This is not a person that will, well, they will forget about it, that's for sure, over time. But it's not something like on a burner domain that you've blasted an email to that recipient and they will forget that that thing ever existed. Now they will be exposed to your content, they will be exposed to your connections, so on and so forth. Again, there is a
Right.
social element to this whole environment.
What
And
what do you say to agency owners out there? Like there's a ton of agencies that are niching on a specific vertical. It could be roofers, it could be lawyers, it could be dentists, it could whatever it is, versus generalists. So more and more of the agencies are specializing. What would you say to those folks that would say, "Oh, my ICP, my audience, my target customer isn't on LinkedIn"?
yes, I would
Um,
say that is true. Let, let me elaborate on that one a little bit. So, LinkedIn, again, social platform, people have to log into the application, mobile or browser, to actually check
mhm.
up on those messages, right? So, LinkedIn, if you compare them to the three channels, it will have problem number one, inactivity. Problem number two, slowness. I mean, it's not slow, it's just how LinkedIn works. So, inactivity essentially means that audience is not on LinkedIn, right? So, what's
Yeah,
the point?
or they may be on there, but they may have a profile on there, but they're not
Oh,
active on there.
let me give you a practical and for everyone listening, like a practical well exercise that you can do in order to determine which ICP is on LinkedIn versus which ICP is not on LinkedIn. Ask yourself two questions, and these are plain business logical behavioral questions. They have nothing to do with outbound at all. So question number one is this person, does this person has a valid lead, valid point to be on LinkedIn, right? So in your case, does it make sense for a roofer to be on LinkedIn, right? Does it make sense for a lawyer to be on LinkedIn? And if you don't have really, and obviously for the ones to which your thought process would be no, then basically like, yes, LinkedIn is not the right channel.
Right.
But if you are hesitant, obviously, to, if it's a definite yes, then it's a definite yes, like a B2B SaaS startup founder, they have to be on LinkedIn. Now, if you are hesitant in between, well, I don't know, ask yourself the next question. Can this ICP generate leads for themselves on the platform, right? As a business owner, because it's a B2B
Hmm.
platform. It's not Instagram, it's not TikTok, it's like a business B2B platform. So,
Right.
for the roofer, can a roofer generate leads for themselves for their roofing business? No, right? So this is where you discover, okay, well, we should not use LinkedIn in this case for this specific ICP because anything that we do, and it's data points and money we spend on data and orchestration of the data, will just end up in an inbox that will never be read to begin with.
Yeah. So I also have done searches with Sales Navigator on certain ICPs,
Yeah.
but I kind of like your approach. Um, do they have a reason to be on here? Can they generate business from being on here?
Yeah.
And if the answer to those questions is yes, and you can articulate it, and then you can do a search, and it's probably a good channel.
Yeah.
So when you look at I don't know, close to 1,000 agencies all over the world, do you guys in that community of users, uh, do you guys have like how do you know they're being successful? Would you look at agencies and do you say, well, these ones are doing this and they're being more successful? Here are the ones that are just starting out. Here's why they're not successful. How do you guys look at that?
Okay. So we basically measure the successfulness of the agencies based on the consumption of the tool. So what that means is like if they are onboarding more LinkedIn accounts managed by them, that means that they've onboarded more clients, right? And other other scenario that we look at, it's basically how frequently do those LinkedIn accounts which are connected and managed by them actually are rotating. What that essentially means, are they losing clients and onboarding new clients, or are they just losing clients? And for the successful ones, basically on the metrics that we follow, such as acceptance, like the tool follows and tracks acceptance rate and reply rate, we also track like obviously like the success rate, meaning the reply rate, from any individual agency managing other clients as well. So my overview and everything that I have seen so far, it's like you have two types of agencies, and it's not really about the tool stack that they have or the thought process that they have and stuff like that. Because I've seen people who are pretty much outbound experts these days with the latest tools, knowledge, and all of that, but they fail to onboard a new customer and to retain the same customer, right? So what I've discovered over time is that agencies need to have two things. Like there are a lot of agencies in the world. Like let's be honest about that. It's like
Yeah. How
it's
many
almost
do you think there are in the world? There's probably 30,000, is more than that, or?
well 30. No, 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 no. It's more like on a rough estimate because nobody really agencies like open up like mushrooms. Like every previous like successful SDR opened up their own agency type of thing.
Yeah.
So they're come
Right.
and go. So when we were doing research, we were looking at 200,000 agencies.
Really?
Yeah, worldwide, meaning.
Worldwide. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Wow.
again, everyone is
Let's say
pushing
it's
to.
half. Let's say it's half that. Like you're half right. It's still 100,000. That's
So yeah, so imagine this scenario: like you have 100 agencies, 100,000 agencies in the world trying to do business with the U.S. businesses, right? And everyone knows how to do, or at least how to scale outbound, right? So
yeah.
now you can think about the saturation that is happening across the world. So
Right.
the most successful ones are, well, they have the following segments. They know how to build out a great offer. That's number one. Meaning, if it's for roofer, then it's for roofer, obviously, like tailor made to that. They are great at closing and selling for their own business, right? Because I've seen people who are not wildly successful in the operations of how the service is conducted, but they are wildly successful in terms of like how are they closing those deals, right? So the most important, the most successful ones, the ones who are growing 100 clients plus, they are great sellers. They know how to position themselves. They've picked on a niche, meaning they've narrowed down to actually focus on that niche, and they expand over time. So basically, once niche one is covered, then niche two, then niche three, and so on and so forth. But they're not
Mhm.
doing everything like a generalist all at once. So they specialized, they become great at closing and selling those deals, and then they move on to the next thing to replicate the same process from the previous niche that worked for them well. On the other side of things, you have people or successful agencies who are so focused on the client fulfillment side of things and pretty much delivering a great service, and those guys don't really lose a client. So a client for them usually is a person who sticks around for a year, and they don't even lock that person in a contract. They basically say, I'm going to provide value. If it makes sense for you, stay. If it doesn't make sense, well,
Right.
like you can leave anytime. So that freedom is because like showing two things, like I'm confident that I can deliver value and you can test me and cancel at any time if I'm not. So it's a fair trade-off for being an agency.
Yeah.
If you're trying to push anyone to a commitment on a legal side of things just because they have to pay, well, you're never going to create a brand. Like that's something that you do once you cross like 15 million and basically you have a valuable reason to do so. Now, for the ones focusing on fulfillment, obviously we've passed the bar that you can just hire some cheap labor from like the Philippines or whatever, because like it's not going to produce the quality that you're aiming for. But lucky for everyone, AI is here that can help in all the operational aspects, such as when do we notify a client that something is wrong? What do the client actually needs to do if like something is off? What do we iterate it or optimize over time to help this client actually succeed, right? Those are the
Yeah.
three key components that people are streamlining into a one centralized place, and from that point on the communication with the client, it's much more tailor made, and the client actually builds trust with that agency.
Okay. So you mentioned AI. Let's start getting into AI and how you see it impacting Hey Reach and also the agencies you serve. And you know, it's kind of the Wild West out there still,
Oh yeah.
um, and maybe it will be for a while. But what are you seeing, and how are you seeing agencies, uh, leveraging it, and how do you see it fitting into your business?
Okay, awesome. So AI itself, like it's a brand new technology that it's evolving each day, and it's finding obviously use cases for anything. Similar how the internet was launched, and basically people found different use cases of it over time. So the first thing that I really hate is that people started using the technology, like the AI technology itself, inside of the sales cycles and the sales, obviously inside of sales generally. The reason why they did that is because like sales usually gets the biggest budgets in any company, so people are willing to invest in that department, but it will do the lousiest job ever. That's why if you are thinking about hiring a AI SDR or a AI BDR, stuff like that, I mean, you're just scaling a failure because you don't know whether that thing is doing a good or a bad job, and until you realize that it really did a bad job, like you will fail in the fulfillment to begin with. AI
Yeah,
itself, like,
you just dig a hole faster,
well,
basically.
you scale
If you're
failure.
digging in the wrong direction, you with AI, you just do it faster.
Best quote ever, just scaling failure. That's something that you can basically just do very fast with AI these days.
I haven't
Now,
heard that one yet, but that makes total sense.
so
Scale it failure. That's good.
yeah. No, either scale it failure or scaling failure. Like whatever you put it in a perspective, it all makes sense. So first
That's
things first,
funny.
obviously, replace the repetitive, the boring, the operational stuff. So for the outbound, I mean, let's talk about outbound and and then the client fulfillment. So obviously, all that personalization, list build up, trying to detect relevancy on a lead list, like that's the first step with where AI will essentially help you as a BDR, I'd say, that will pre-qualify a list before you actually launch it and use it in an actual sequence. The
Yeah.
second thing that will help you will basically be staying on top of the environment that you have created. And I'm talking about inbox management. So if you or the client is managing their inbox, email or LinkedIn, whatever, that AI can actually just start helping you with giving you predetermined responses, something that you should, or predefined responses, something that you should send out based on the history of events that happened with that lead, and you can just iterate on that. Once you feel confident that that AI inbox manager can actually work pretty nicely. One thing that I've noticed, like we were talking with, I mean, one of the biggest brands, I'm not going to really mention their name. So what they did was essentially they've used AI and they've created multiple agents. One agent to build them a lead list, second agent to build them a copy, and a third agent to manage 5 people sales reps in that company, their inbox. Now they did number one and number two great, but number three was actually like a very terrible environment because the agent was not prompted well. So that the agent itself started chatting with people on a regular basis like they were friends. So now they're thinking, like, they come back to me and say, hey Leah, like, we have this problem. We have a great acceptance rate on LinkedIn, great response rate, but we are not booking any meetings. And you're like, well, how can you book meetings when the agent is actually talking about Tony's Pizza in like XYZ location, right? So
You're right.
right, this is where like things can go off, and my best advice is like start manually, walk through the process by yourself, then implement in one specific segment one agent, one AI, one LLM, whatever you want to use, and then iterate on that and compare it to your previous results and the results that the whole new environment is generating. That thing, along with the operational side of things, on the fulfillment side of things, obviously, it can really help you with that. Well, client needs a weekly update, then you obviously create an environment where all of that is just automated and they just get fresh new update every morning, because that dopamine hit is essential for building out that relationship. So and yeah, like if you're promising closed deals and pipeline and stuff like that, then just, I believe it's too soon, honestly. Like it's not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I would tend to agree. It's really good on ideation. It's good on I would say data enrichment. I still check it. I still check everything. If I have it right something, I still check it um, and edit it, you know,
Mm.
especially if it's going to be my name.
Oh yeah.
So there's a process where you still have to have humans involved. Um,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think I
totally.
think people think it's gonna take their jobs, and it's like, no, the people that evolve themselves to a more strategic level.
Yeah.
Actually, what I found was strange is I actually learned a lot from interacting with AI about my own stuff.
Hmm.
Like, it just made me tighter on, oh, that
I never
makes
thought
total
of that.
sense. It says it a lot. Like, I'm not the best with words, even, even though I've got a book out,
Yeah.
it's like I still need help with that. And it just helps articulate it. And then you go, oh, okay. If that's how we need to position it, well, and I even question it. Well, why would you position it that way
Yeah.
versus this way?
Yeah.
And sometimes it'll, even Chat GPT is kind of suspicious. It'll go, oh, that's a great, like, agrees with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it's still not quite there, but it is really powerful. There are automations you can do. It seems
Yeah.
like every other day I hear somebody like, oh, did you try this tool? And did you try that tool?
Yeah.
And I just wonder if like, pick a stack and you get really good with that stack,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
AI and integration. Because I think you mentioned it earlier when you said, hey, Reach didn't try to be this huge ecosystem. It tried to do the best thing it knew how to do and
Mm.
fit into an ecosystem and integrate itself into that,
Exactly.
which I think is a smart move.
So,
Okay,
in the
so
what
we're
before we jump, we digest into this whole thing, because we were pushing for integrations, and as you mentioned, like we focused on the LinkedIn part, and at the same time, HeyReach has this unified inbox of all LinkedIn accounts that can be managed by one person, essentially. So a lot of tools that actually build out like a AI autoresponder or a AI closer or a AI BDR, they wanted to integrate with us because they wanted to offer an extra value for additional subscription to our customer base. And we were like, okay, cool, let's think about it. So I started getting these meetings. Obviously, a lot of AI BDRs, let's call them BDRs, and well, I started asking a very simple question: how would you? And remember, these are people who work 24/7 on prompting their AI to be a successful AI BDR. Like that's the truth. So the simple
these
question
people
was
are
like,
sorry to interrupt. These people were coming to you and saying,
yeah,
how do we integrate with Hey Reach?
yeah, yeah. They had tools on their own, like their own separate platform, and the service for that platform was an AI BDR that wants to integrate with the HeyReach unified inbox. So the question, and those guys obviously fine tune the module constantly and they proactively work on it. So the question was pretty simple. How would you rate, what would be the rate of your AI SDR, AI BDR, AI closer from a scale of you have the Wolf of Wall Street over here, and over here you have a Filipino intern. How would you rate that? Right? And like whoever said, "Oh no, it's the Wolf of Wall Street," and I was like, "No, it's not. Like nobody is. So you are for sure not." But then again, whoever was realistic said, like, "Okay, so we are above a person from like obviously Philippines. Like obviously I took Philippines for
Hmm.
example over here. That's what most agencies do. So a person from the Philippines, what we are pushing it to be a C player or a B player." And I'm like, "Well, once you get it to a B player type of thing inside of the US, this is the best time to actually have a chat because unless you do that, then not the tool, but the person using the tool generated leads, and like your environment actually just burns those leads faster than ever."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Burning through everything so fast. That's
Yeah.
wild. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today. I love getting to know new tools. I come from the software world originally, in the IT managed services space. That's where I kind of cut my teeth as an entrepreneur. I've been in the agency space with multiple agencies over the last, I don't know, 12 years. So I've seen a lot come and go. And I remember when CRMs were like the biggest thing since canned beer. Uh, and everybody's like, oh, this is going to change it all. And so there's a little bit of that going on with AI.
Hmm.
So I'm glad you're realistic about it. And I am curious to see what makes good and great agencies. Now you guys are focused on the outreach space and the connection, making connections, building relationships in the B2B space. But one of the things that we've done is come up with 5 archetypes of agency owners. And most people are out there talking about how to build an agency or build a system or get a leadership team or get leads and all that, which is great. You have to build those things.
Yeah.
Where I tend to focus on is the psychology of the owner to make the decision and the stage of the business they're at to make the decision like, yes, we need to add this layer of capability in our agency that we don't have right now, or we have it right now, it's just not working because we don't have the right system built to close, or we haven't architected it in a way that close, or we don't have the right person in that seat to close. We've got everything else set up, so now we're just burning through leads. But those 5 archetypes, I won't list them off. It's for another conversation, but it would be interesting to from your perspective, because I've been in your shoes where you build this product and you get people that are using it and leveraging it day to day, and you kind of forget that or at least we did, I won't say you do, but we would kind of forget that there's this whole business on the other side of it. And until we got to a place where I think you're at, which is we got to a place where like, oh no, these users are leveraging the software, but what does their business do? And how does it help their business grow or improve or become more efficient? All the standard things you think about when they use software. And so I'm liking that you're thinking about those things, not.
Well, Tony, like I'm going to maybe we should wrap this up, but again, this is like the brief story of everything that we've tried to do in Heritage to grow it up. And just bear in mind that, well, my name is Ilya. I'm coming from North Macedonia, which is nobody have heard about. We are selling a LinkedIn tool that nobody has heard about, and we are trying to penetrate a market that perceives us as the Russian hackers who will just try to steal their data. That were our odds. Like that was something that we were against. So we were
Yeah.
thinking that if we just started blasting things like all over their inboxes with a great offer, that people would say, yes, that's what I need. But the truth is, like, until you get to a position where people at least have heard about you, doesn't have to mean that they have considered you, but like, okay, cool. Who are you guys? Heritage. Oh yeah, that name rings a bell. That's where you need to be. Like, our success rate in that outbound actually plummeted. Like it was nothing really. Like, and we were beating ourselves up. Like, okay, this channel, like we have to make it work, but we couldn't. I mean, because we were against every possible objection out there. So what we've started doing is we've started building a brand. We've started building that awareness of the brand through people, through podcasts, through conversations like this one. Just so we explain that, well, we are there to help specific businesses who face these 5 challenges. That's all there is.
Yeah.
Once we started doing outbound on a similar audience like that, we already knew like what we were talking about. Now our outreach essentially became more relevant. So if you're out there promising to a client who just started off a company that nobody has heard about, like don't overpromise. Like it will be bad at the very beginning, but add additional layers of the service itself, such as I'm going to help you with your LinkedIn presence, I'm going to help you with your ads, I'm going to website, stuff like that, until you get them to a state where outbound is essentially a source for leads long run, like an everlasting.
Interesting. Yeah, there's probably another 2 or 3 deeper level conversations we can have, but I'm so glad I ran into you and learning more about Hey Reach. I've used LinkedIn for years. I'm on it like text now, so I'm one of those people that look at it all the time. I think that's how I know that's how I found out about you guys, because I think I saw Hey Reach inside of a diagram of somebody that's like, oh, here's how to use AI. And Hey Reach was at the beginning of it. Might have been you. I can't even remember sometimes because there's just so much you go through. But I'm looking forward to talking again and seeing where this goes.
Tony, it was a real pleasure. Thank you for having me, and anytime, really.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks.
Thank you.